Time for another board game review, and this time we have the game Legendary, a Marvel deck building game. This was sent to me by Upper Deck and is designed by Devin Lowe. I own this game already. It is in fact my favorite board game. I have literally every expansion they've ever put out for this. I have beaten every scenario. Needless to say, spoilers I guess, I am a huge fan, but I'm excited to kind of make a review, kind of just showing you how to play it and also what I love about it so much. But yeah, the future of deck building games has arrived with Legendary, a Marvel deck building game. Legendary is the first deck building game of its kind where the game actually fights back against the players. For the first time, Legendary will give players a chance to recruit heroes. 1 to 5 players can play cooperatively or competitively to determine the ultimate victor. Alright, let me show you how to play. So in Legendary, each of you starts with a deck of basic hero cards. These consist of 8 of these shield agents and 4 of these troopers. You shuffle this deck, and then you draw 6. Now, every game of Legendary is going to be different because it depends on the mastermind, the boss that you're going to fight, the scheme or scenario of what is going to happen during the game, and also which heroes you choose. The game comes with 15 heroes to start. You got Black Widow, Captain America, Cyclops, Deadpool, Emma Frost, Gambit, Hawkeye, Hulk, Iron Man, Nick Fury, Rogue, Spider-Man, Storm, Thor, and Wolverine. Pretty good lineup, honestly, just for the base set. But yeah, for let's say a 2-player game, you would choose, well, you always choose 5 heroes at random, and then you shuffle them up into a hero deck. The game says for your first game to use Spider-Man, Iron Man, Wolverine, Cyclops, and Hawkeye, so I'll do that. That becomes your hero deck, and then you also reveal 5. Okay. Then you pick a mastermind. For our choices here, we got Loki, we got Magneto, Doctor Doom, and Red Skull. For the first game, they suggest Red Skull. Red Skull has 4 mastermind tactics cards that get shuffled underneath. And yeah, so he is placed into the mastermind slot. Then, depending on how many players you have, you're going to add different villain groups and bystanders to your villain deck. So you always pick the one that the mastermind leads, in this case Hydra. So we're going to take 2 villain groups, Hydra, and then Spider Foes, and we're going to take 1 henchman group, the Sentinels, and we're going to mix that up with some other cards for our villain deck. We're going to do this scheme, Unleash the Power of the Cosmic Cube, and this one it says to put 8 twists in your deck. These are twist cards. I'll explain these later. You also add 5 Master Strike cards, and the number of bystanders it tells you, in this case 2. That's your villain deck, and you're going to shuffle that up. Once that's all set, you place it in the correct spot, and you're ready to start the game. So on your turn, you always do the same thing. First, you play the top card of the villain deck and see what it is. Okay, it's Dr. Octopus. Regular villains enter the city, starting with the sewers. If there were another villain here, like let's say this villain was already here, and Dr. Octopus enters the city, this villain gets pushed forward. If a villain ever gets pushed off the final space here, the bridge, they escape, and they go up here. What happens then is that escaping villain will knock out a hero from the HQ that costs 6 or less. This here tells you the cost of each card. So you get to choose which one. Let's say you go, okay, we're going to kill this Wolverine card. Knocked out cards go into the knockout pile. Then you flip a new card from the hero deck to replace it. Sometimes villains can capture bystanders. If they do, they tuck them underneath their card and take them with them. And if this villain escaped with a bystander, not only do you knock out a card from the HQ, but you also have to punish everyone by having everyone discard a card from their hand. And on top of that, some villains, like Venom here, even have an escape effect if they escape. In this case, each player gets a wound. So if this guy escapes the city, everybody gets a wound card. Wound cards are cards that go in your deck and they just clog it up. They're just cards that are useless. So they're very annoying. Some villains, when they're drawn, may also have an ambush effect, like Green Goblin here. Ambush means he captures a bystander. So that's just something that happens immediately. As soon as he's revealed, he's got a bystander. Now, of course, during your turn, you only draw one card, but I'm just showing you all the different possibilities of what you do when different cards are drawn. So if a bystander card is drawn, the nearest villain captures it. If a Master Strike card is played, what happens is you throw it away, and the Mastermind gets to do something. It all depends on what they do. So Red Skull here, his Master Strike, each player knocks out a hero from their hand. So everyone has to throw away a card permanently from their hand into the knockout pile. And finally, if the card drawn is a Scheme Twist, it depends on the scenario. So for the Cosmic Cube scenario, it tells you here, okay, on each twist, you put it next to this Scheme card. On twists 1 through 4, nothing happens. But on twist 5 and 6, each player gains a wound. On twist 7, each player gains 3 wounds. On twist number 8, evil wins. So if you pull 8 of these twist cards for this scenario, that is game over. Another way to go through get game over is if you go through the entire deck without having beaten the Mastermind 4 times. The goal of the game is to punch this guy exactly 4 times so that all of his tactics are destroyed. So yeah, that's all the different possibilities for the villain deck. You draw a card, you do the thing. So let's go over what you can do with the cards in your hand. After you do your villain card, then you can either recruit or fight. Let's say we had this enemy on the board. One of these hand ninjas here. You can see here that their HP is 3. So if I play 3 fight like this, I can defeat this enemy, and it has a fight effect on it, which I get +1 recruit star. So this goes into a separate pile, my victory pile. So I have 1 star plus the 3 other recruit stars in my hand. That means I could buy a card that costs 4 or less. So let's say I buy this Hawkeye for 4 star. If I buy it, I put it in my discard pile, and then the card gets replaced in the HQ. After you play your cards and buy it and fight, you discard the cards, and then you draw 6 cards from your deck. If you run out of cards in your deck, shuffle up your discard pile. As I mentioned before, the Mastermind here is the goal of the game, to beat him. Red Skull here has 7 fight for his requirement, so you would have to place a total of 7 fight on your turn to take him out. If you do, you read one of these random Mastermind cards and do what it says. If you do that 4 times, you win the game. Now let's kind of go into the meat of the game, which are we have hero classes and heroic teams. So you can see this card is a yellow class card, Instinct, and Wolverine is an X-Men. So this symbol here means if you played a yellow card before you played this card, you get to do the bonus action. Okay, let's say I had both of these in my hand and I played them. This one says, you may knock out a wound from your hand or discard pile if you do draw a card, and it's worth 2 attack. If I play that, and I play this card afterwards, since I played a yellow card this turn, I can draw an extra card. The more cards you draw, hey, there's another attack. That means I have 4 attack. And that's how you start to build up combos. Another type of combo you can do is with teams. So for example, Hawkeye here, he's Avengers class, he's a black class and he's Avengers team. So if you played an Avenger card before this Hawkeye, you get +1 extra attack on top of the 2. Let's just kind of go through some of the other card effects you can get. Here we got Gambit, a Gambit card. All the cards are also different for each hero, but here's just some examples of each. He's worth 2 stars. Reveal the top card of your deck. You discard it or put it back. And if you do a yellow combo, you can do the same thing for everyone else's decks. Captain America, if you would gain a wound, you may reveal this card and draw a card instead. So if you just have it in your hand, you can block a wound. Black Widow, you get +1 attack for every bystander in your victory pile. So that can be pretty powerful. If you have a ton of bystanders, that's a lot of attack. Emma Frost, each player may reveal another X-Men hero, and if they do, they get to draw a card. That's kind of a cooperative one. Deadpool, if this is the first hero you play this turn, you may discard the rest of your hand and draw 4. If your hand sucks. Rogue, play this card as a copy of another hero you played this turn. This card is both red and the color you copy. Very powerful card. Hulk, it's 4 attack, which is pretty good, but each player gains a wound. Storm, you may move a villain to a new city space, rescue any bystanders captured by that villain. This can help you kind of maneuver villains around. Cyclops, to play this card, it's 3 stars, which is pretty good, but you must discard a card from your hand. Spider-Man, you just rescue a bystander straight up. Reveal the top card of your deck. If it costs 2 or less, you draw it, and that's a good combo for Spider-Man, is getting low-cost cards into your hand really quickly. Those are just some examples of the many, many types of cards you can get in the game. Other than that, there's other schemes like the Negative Zone Prison Breakout, which gets you lose if enough villains escape. Portals to the Dark Dimension. Each twist becomes a portal above different spaces and powers up the villains. There's a bank robbery one. And what's nice about these is all of them play differently. They all have different evil wins conditions. They all have different setups. And they're all pretty clear on how they play as well. But I will just say a lot of them can make the game play or feel very different. Otherwise, that's pretty much the game. You draw a villain card on your turn, do whatever it says, and then recruit cards into your deck, build up your deck to make it stronger, play combos, fight stronger villains, get better cards, and eventually try to beat the Mastermind 4 times. And that's the game.
So I'm not a comics person by any means. Like I watch, Marvel movies and shows, and I know who the Marvel characters are, but I am not a diehard fan at all. And yet still, this is my favorite game. I've always loved deck building. It's my favorite genre in board games, pretty much. I've always loved, just the basic concept of recruiting cards to your deck, making it stronger. This game has that really fun sort of color combo system that I enjoy in something like, say, Star Realms or Clank in Space, where, it really makes you think about which cards you want to collect. Like, if you're going to collect cards that trigger on yellow cards, you want to get more yellow cards. Or you want to get cards that, if you get Spider-Man and you need low-cost cards, you got to focus on that. It's better, some deck building games which are fun, but are just kind of like grab the most powerful cards you can grab. If you don't think about how your deck works together in this game, it will absolutely mess you up, which I think is really cool. It makes it, each card you buy very important. I love the variety this game offers. The base game gives you a lot of heroes, pretty good selection of baddies, and several scenarios. Like, each scenario, like I mentioned before, plays very differently in a really fun way, so you avoid a lot of sort of repetition. Some of the schemes, especially, excluding expansion packs, although if you get this game, I recommend getting a couple expansions. They just change the game drastically in very unique, fun ways, but still are completely understandable, because it's still the same system of scheme twist, they do something bad. What does it say on the card? Master strikes, read the mastermind. Villains, they're trying to escape. Fight them. It's simple system, but with a ton of potential and variety. All the heroes play very differently and feel very thematic to what they are. Captain America is all about collecting different types of colors, for like a diversity, bringing the team together, that sort of thing. Rogue has that card where she can kind of take someone's power and use it. It's very well thought out on how the heroes work, how they work together. A lot of the fun is also just combining different heroes together and seeing where the synergies are. Some, honest critiques about the game. Setup and cleanup can be a little bit of a chore, because you have to, get... not only do you have to, put in specific one of the groups of cards and shuffle them, but at the end you have to sort them back out, which doesn't bother me, but that might bother some people, having to, clean everything up, sort everything back. That can take a little bit. There's also the randomness of the deck. Sometimes the randomness of the shuffle of the villain deck can be unkind. It's especially bad when the objective is like, when you pull the 8th scheme twist card, you lose, and they all just happen to be at the top. That rarely is an issue for me. Usually if it happens that quickly, you just can start over. And I can see that bothering some people of like, well, there was nothing we could have done. I personally don't mind the challenge. Like, most cases than not, the game is beatable no matter what, even if it's extremely hard or by the skin of your teeth. And that's what also excites me about this game, is there are so many times I've played this game where you win by just the skin of your teeth. and it's so exciting. It comes down to like the last card flip or something like that. Yeah, I just there's not a whole lot much to say beyond that. It's thematic for what it is. It really does feel like you're a bunch of superheroes stopping villains from running through the city. It feels satisfying collecting those cards, building up that combo. Oh yeah, I play this card, draw a card, play this card. Oh yeah, yellow combo, haha, I get to play this card now, and I punch Red Skull in the face. Even if you're not a Marvel fan, I've played this game with people who are not Marvel fans, and they still really enjoy it. If you are a Marvel fan, this is a must-buy. And even if you're not, if you like deck builders and want to play like a cooperative one, this game is fantastic. It provides a lot of variety just with the box set, and I appreciate that with expansions, it's easily customizable. I use a randomizer app. It's not an official app, but I use it, and you can just, you know, plug in 5 heroes, randomize a scheme of villains, it does it all for you, and you can just play a completely unique game every time, and it never feels exactly the same. This one will be in my collection forever, and I'll buy every expansion that comes out and beat all the schemes because it's just that fun. I highly recommend this game. If you've never played like a deck building game, there are also other themes as well. You know, the Alien set I own and have played, and that's fun, although much harder. But I still think the Marvel set is my favorite. So check it out. I love it. It gets my highest stamp of approval.